Everyone, what's up and welcome back to another episode here with some Pot Limit Omaha content. My name is Luke and today we're going to continue our journey talking about basic preflop strategy. In episode 1 we spoke about raising first in episode 2 we spoke about cold calling. If you haven't checked out those episodes, then make sure to do it. You can find the links below the episode here. And today we're going to continue the journey by talking more about 3-betting. So we're going to talk about an aggressive action preflop. Let's jump right into it. And first of all, talk about what are the differences when it comes to comparing different stake levels. Here we can see 3 levels, PLO 50, PLO 500 and PLO 5000. So from low stakes to mid stakes to high stakes. And you can see that if we look at a tight situation, MP versus early position, where the early position player is open raising around 16, 17, 18% of his hands. You can see that in the middle position at PLO 50, we are supposed to 3-bet 5.7% of our hands. At PLO 500, 5.2, and at PLO 5000, 5%. So very similar numbers here. If you look at a button versus cutoff scenario, where the cutoff player is open raising around 30% of his hands, you can see that at PLO 50, we are supposed to 3-bet around 9% of our hands, PLO 500 8.1 and PLO 5000 7.6. Now in the widest situation here, big blind versus small blind, you can see that at low stakes, PLO 50, we are supposed to 3-bet 13% of our hands, PLO 500 12.4 and at PLO 5000 10.7. So when we look at all these numbers, these positions here, there is one main takeaway here, and that is that 3-bet ranges remain fairly similar throughout all the stake levels. You can see that at PLO 5000 on average, the numbers are slightly lower, and that is because of 2 reasons. First of all, at high stakes, the rake is relatively lower, and therefore people can get away by cold calling a little bit more because that action doesn't cost them too much. So some hands that might be a 3-bet at high rake environments might be a call there. But also if they 3-bet, the initial raiser isn't going to fold as often versus a 3-bet as, for example, at low stakes, because the rake is there much lower at the high stake levels here. So he isn't inclined to fold as much as, for example, players on low stakes. These players should do a lot of folding facing 3-bets, and that is not necessarily the case at the high stakes. Okay, before we're going to jump into some hand examples here, let's look into an overview and talk about MP versus early position again. Today, we're looking into PLO 50, also the low stake levels. In the yellow bars, you can see the categories of hands that we are 3-betting, from aces, kings, all the way down to single suited and rainbow rundowns on the right side. If you want to look deeper into that, then make sure to pause the video. Otherwise, we're going to continue here. And before we will look into some hands, I want to quickly address what are the main reasons for 3-betting. And there are actually 2 big reasons why we want to 3-bet. First of all, we have a hand that has a lot of equity and a lot of value in 3-betting, especially facing your opponent's open raising range. So for example, aces, of course, are a great example here. They do very well. They have a lot of equity versus any open raising range, and they want to 3-bet because there's a lot of value in 3-betting these hands. The second reason is because of playability. Some hands, they play much better in the 3-bet pot in comparison to playing as a cold call. Especially hands that are non-nutted, that are still double suited, but don't play as well as a cold call because they can get dominated by other players coming in with dominating suits. These hands, they benefit from going for the 3-bet because these hands play better in a heads-up pot. They have a smooth distribution and they can flop very often some piece of the board and then they can stack off on the flop. Think about a hand like Jack 9 8 7 double suited, for example, is a prime example of a hand that is being 3-bet because of playability reasons. Okay, that being said, we now know a little bit more about the 2 reasons for 3-betting here. There are, of course, different reasons as well that you can add into here or that make sense to use in game, but these are somewhat of the fundamentals and the starting points when it comes to 3-betting. We're going to look into a couple of categories of hands. Again, it's MP versus early position. Kings, we are 3-betting 5% of them in this situation at the low stakes. The kings that we are 3-betting here, look at the bottom sentence here, they always have an ace in their hand. Without an ace, we're never 3-betting kings. And that is because kings They don't want to 3-bet and then face a 4-bet and then have to fold. If they 3-bet, we want to block the aces, of course, and therefore we want to have an ace in our hand. When it comes to single-suited kings, we generally want to 3-bet the ones with an unsuited ace. For example, ace, king, king, deuce with the king high flush or the king high suit here and not the ace high suit, because the ace high suit plays fine enough as a call and they benefit from inviting other players into the pot and dominating those suits. Ace, king, king, 6 double suited is also a good example as a 3-bet here, especially with lower side cards. Ace, king, king, X do like the 3-bet. The very best kings in general, they don't 3-bet because they don't want to risk facing a 4-bet. Secondly, let's look at double suited rundowns that do have an ace here. In this situation, we're 3-betting them 36% of the time. Prime examples of these are the very strong ones, hands that are strongly connected, that can call 4-bets, that do well in a 3-bet pot. For example, ace, king, 10, 9, ace, jack, 9, 8 double suited, and also ace, 8, 7, 6 double suited. All these hands, they are strong candidates to go for the 3-bet and sort of add them in besides the high pairs that you're also 3-betting. Okay. Lastly, double suited rundowns that don't have an ace here. Here we're talking about a 3-bet range of 10% with this category of hands. Think about hands like king, jack, 10, 9 double suited, jack, 8, 7, 6 double suited, and also 9, 8, 7, 6 double suited. Like, we won't go much lower than a 9 high rundown. Occasionally we 3-bet an 8 high rundown, but you can basically simplifying it to not really 3-betting anything lower than a 9 high rundown, then you would be totally fine here. In general, try to stick to like 0 gappers, 1 gappers, occasionally a 2 gapper here, but the very weaker ones and the more trashy ones, they don't flop as well, they don't do as great in a 3-bet pot, they don't necessarily play that great against a 4-bet, so try to stay away a little bit from those candidates. Okay, so this was an overview of a couple of categories. We also learned more about the reasons for 3-betting in the first place, and we compared different stake levels and what the differences are when it comes to 3-betting here. Hope you enjoyed the episode here. Make sure to like the video if you enjoyed it, and also subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content of myself. We're definitely going to do some more episodes when it comes to basic preflop strategy here, and we also have different episodes below talking about hand breakdowns and other strategical topics when it comes to Pot Limit Omaha. That being said, take care guys, have a good day, good luck at the tables, and I hope to see you next session here with another episode here on YouTube. Take care and all the best.